And good evening. As we come on the air, catastrophic flash floods ripping through the Midwest. Tens of millions under alert as first responders race to get stranded people out alive. The National Weather Service calling this an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Rushing waters flooding homes in Missouri. These kids huddled on kitchen counters as the waters quickly rise. A man rescuing a horse almost fully submerged. Desperate rescue mission still underway. The flood so high, this family seeking refuge on their roof. They were safely rescued by boat. At least 90 water rescues reported. Scary moments unfolding as first responders battle dangerous conditions. A Missouri State Trooper boat capsizing after a submerged power line got tangled up in the motors. Incredibly scary. A stark reminder of how dangerous this can get. At least 6 people are still unaccounted for tonight, as officials warn swift currents and nightfall could make matters worse. Our Ryan Chandler leads us off.
Tonight, search and rescue teams racing to catastrophic flooding in southeast Missouri. First responders rescuing dozens of stranded residents from high water.
Pretty much anything near the Black River is going to be completely submerged.
The National Weather Service declaring a flash flood emergency in parts of multiple counties. Water rising to the rooftops of homes. You see it there as rivers exploded out of their banks after as much as a foot of rain. Rescue teams still searching for at least 6 people in the area. Heavy rain also swamping parts of the Northeast in the last 24 hours. Outside Philadelphia, first responders rescuing one woman, her car stranded in the water. And that weather is impacting air travel all across the country. Here in Dallas, the biggest weather danger is the heat. It's going to feel close to 100 today, even more on this hot tarmac. American Airlines making sure their workers stay hydrated. A second straight weekend of packed airports as millions take to stormy skies late this week, with more than 5,000 delays Friday.
I had a delay on the way there, and then this morning we had an hour-and-a-half delay.
And in Montreal, an Air Canada flight arriving from Los Angeles veered off the taxiway in the rain. None of the 162 people on board were hurt. And Tom, so many Americans are hoping for calmer skies tonight, but still more than 20 million people from Missouri to Pennsylvania still face a risk for potential flooding. Tom.
All right, Ryan Chandler leading us off tonight. Ryan, we thank you for that. For more of those active storms, I want to get right to Telemundo meteorologist Gabby DeYoung. Gabby, welcome to Top Story. Thanks for being here for us. Talk to us about these flash floods. It looks like it's a very dangerous night.
It is, and unfortunately, we can see more of those images that we're already seeing with the flooding, and that's very concerning. Look at right now, this image is very active, very dynamic. In the next couple hours, we could see more flooding. 22 million are at risk, basically from Missouri all the way to Pennsylvania. But look at this flash flood warning. This is the highest alert for the National Weather Service, and this happens where we could see up to 3 inches of rain in an hour. This could definitely lead to flooding. Additional to that, we also have some severe threat that would include wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. Damaging hail, isolated tornadoes. That is possible. We're not going to rule out that overnight. So that's definitely a very dangerous situation, Tom.
All right. And Gabby, you're also tracking that massive Sahara dust plume blanketing parts of Florida and the Gulf Coast. Video capturing a hazy sunset. And that dust is even sending temperatures soaring. So what's the latest?
We have a visitor that is going to make it all the way from Africa to the southeast. And look at, we have higher concentrations definitely during the weekend, and that's going to be for Saturday night, Sunday. Attention all the way to the southeast. This is going to impact Florida all the way to Texas by Monday. And what happens, this dust, it does have some benefits. This is going to suppress some storms, but it's going to open up the sky. We'll have more sunlight. That's going to feel hotter. Definitely something that Floridians will need in the next couple of days. But it will have also some impacts on the air quality. So people who have breathing issues, that could affect them. And the good news is, guys, we have to leave with a positive point of the Saharan dust is that it will bring beautiful, beautiful sunsets. It's going to be very red, orange, those colors, tones that we like. So be camera ready.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gabby. We thank you for that. We want to turn now to the horrifying moments. 15,000 feet above the ground, a passenger partially sucked out of a plane after the window shattered midair. Witnesses say the man's entire head was outside of the plane at one point. Other passengers pulling him back inside. All of this happening on a Ryanair flight from Greece to Germany this morning. Here's a closer look at that smashed window. The glass completely shattered. Look at this. Tonight, that Ryanair passenger lucky to be alive. But the question tonight, how could this possibly have happened? Here's Tom Costello.
Video from inside the Ryanair flight shows dangling oxygen masks and the blown-out window. Greek media reports a passenger partially sucked out, his head outside the window and pulled back inside by fellow passengers. One passenger told Greek radio the head and shoulders of one passenger were outside the window. Fortunately, he had not taken off his seatbelt. The Boeing 737-800 had just taken off, flying from Greece to Germany when Ryanair says a passenger window dislodged in flight. The aircraft landed normally and passengers returned to the terminal. One passenger treated for injuries. Video on X appears to show engine fan blades broken off. Experts say engine shrapnel may have blown out that window.
This is the engine cowling, the casing around the engine. An uncontained engine failure is when the fan blades, spinning at a very high rate, suddenly break apart and punch through the cowling, potentially endangering the plane.
This man that was partially sucked out of the airplane is extremely lucky that he was not killed, as well as all of the other passengers on board that airplane.
Today's incident eerily similar to the 2018 Southwest Airlines emergency, when pieces of the cowling itself blew out a window, pulling a mother of two to her death. Both engines made by CFM with GE, a joint partner. The company today says CFM is supporting our customers and assisting with the investigation. So after that Southwest Airlines blowout in 2018, the FAA ordered changes to the engine casing and more inspections. And that included more fan blade inspections and a redesign of that engine cowling to contain any engine failure. Investigators will now look at whether that work was done. Boeing tells us it is in contact with Ryanair. The NTSB and the FAA have assigned investigators to go and assist in the investigation. And by the way, Boeing says that plane was built in 2008, so before the 2018 Southwest incident. Tom?
A terrifying incident there midair. Okay, Tom, thank you. We want to turn out to the search for answers after the death of a Mississippi teen, Nolan Wells. His parents offering new details on how they learned their 18-year-old was missing after a 4th of July boating trip with friends. Our Kate Snow sat down with them and their lawyer just a few hours ago.
We're doing this because we want answers.
Christine Wells-Wansley and Elmore Wansley say their son Nolan went out for a fun boat trip to Horn Island with a bunch of his high school friends. Late on July 4th, his mom says her heart dropped when she saw one of Nolan's friends calling.
What did he say? He said, "Hey, Miss Christine, have you seen Nolan or talked to Nolan?" I said, "No, I thought he was with you guys, you know." He's like, "No, nobody's talked to him. We left the island at, I think he said 3 p.m., and he wanted to stay because he was talking to a girl."
That friend's mother, a local judge, posted on Facebook that Nolan told the boys he was going to stay on the island. But the family's attorney, Ben Crump, says another teenager said Nolan was going back with his friends. It's unclear who Nolan was with when he disappeared.
Do you think there's a possibility that your son drowned accidentally?
Honestly, because of the way the stories are just so inconsistent and how that day went, it's just, you know, we can't say for sure. And I don't know how to answer that.
Monday, the college athlete's body was recovered in the water. The location of Nolan's phone now fueling the family's questions. His mother tracked it to a friend's home back on land.
Teenagers love their phones, and two, that's his means of communication. If something happens, you need your phone.
There are hundreds of people on that island. Nobody sees what happened to him, and he stays behind and doesn't ask for his phone.
We asked about this video from the 4th, which many on social media suggest shows an argument involving Nolan.
Do you hear your son in that video?
I can't say yay or nay to that.
Do you see him in the video?
I do not, just because of the way it's shot.
The family's high-profile attorney has repeatedly invoked race.
Do you think that race may be involved in what happened to your son?
I don't want to believe it is, but unfortunately, there's patterns, right?
It's so many things have happened, and so many things have been swept under the rug.
They say they want their son to be remembered as a sweet soul.
He just had a big heart, like, to really know Nolan, to have him as your friend was just, it was something special.
Do you worry that he might have trusted too much?
Sometimes, yeah. And that was something we always talked to him about.
Kate Snow joins us in the studio. You feel for those parents. They just want some answers. And one of the things they're doing is they're trying to get an independent autopsy in Washington. What do we know about this?
Yeah, they actually moved the body of their son from Mississippi to Washington to a special place that they paid for. They raised some money. Actually, a former NFL player helped them. They're waiting for that. They don't have the results yet. Also, the state is doing an autopsy, Tom, and those results aren't back yet either.
We're coming up on a week. I understand it's a holiday. There are weekends involved. But what is law enforcement saying? Because it's been several days now.
It has. The sheriff has said in interviews, he's done just a few, but he has said, look, we're in the middle of an investigation. We're gathering as much information as we can, and they're not going to get ahead of it. They're waiting for people. They said we want videos, especially uncut, unedited videos. If people were there, if they saw something, they need that information as they try to figure out what happened.
Okay. Kate Snow, we thank you for that. Now to the alarming new report tonight that Israel has warned the U.S. that Iran is plotting to kill President Trump. Kelly O'Donnell is following this and joins us tonight from the White House. So, Kelly, those threats were also seen at the funeral for the Ayatollah.
There's a real link here, Tom, between what we're hearing from these Israel reports and what was happening on the ground in Iran. Now, the White House is not commenting on this because of all the sensitivities. And yet today the president said that Israel came up with nothing, referring to that report about them giving the White House some new intel. Now, all of this comes as demonstrators in the streets of Iran carried signs written in English. So that was a message to go well beyond Iran, calling for the assassination of President Trump. Of course, the U.S. also assassinated through war the supreme leader of Iran and other top officials. Now, the president said today in response to this, I've left instructions, if anything happens, to just literally bomb them at levels they've never seen before. That's the president saying if he were killed by Iran, that would be his message. Now, there's some new information tonight. We were able to talk to a number of top officials involved in this process, and they're telling us that Iran must issue a public statement pledging to keep open the Strait of Hormuz so that commercial shipping can continue. That's a new demand from the White House. And that's important because we've already seen Iran violate the ceasefire by firing on ships trying to carry out commercial business. So that is a critical point. We also learned from those officials that the issue of trying to obtain the enriched uranium that is buried below the plants where Iran had been working on its nuclear program, that is something they still want to get. And that would require cooperation from Iran in order to do that, for the U.S. to extract that. So that's still an active part of the negotiations. We also learned today, based on the reporting of some of our colleagues here at NBC News, that the president is now in what an official called a wait-and-see mode. He's getting some different sources of advice from Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, encouragement to do more to go against Iran with military action, while others, including the vice president, are concerned about upping that up again into a full-scale war. Tom?
Okay, Kelly O'Donnell with a lot of new reporting there for us. Kelly, we thank you. We have new video tonight. We want to show you the moments before 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado was killed by officers in Houston. And it's raising new questions about how this whole shooting unfolded. As our Priscilla Thompson reports, he may not have been the initial target.
New video shows the clearest images yet of what led up to the deadly shooting of 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Araujo by ICE agents. This video posted by his son shows Araujo leaving for work that morning. Surveillance video later picks him up turning a corner, being tailed by a dark SUV that appears to try to get around the van. Another angle shows a second SUV cutting through a parking lot to catch up. Moments later, the vehicles circle back around, and ICE agents appear to pull someone from the van. Salgado then seen here on the ground moments after being shot. DHS initially said Salgado weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run over an ICE officer who fired in self-defense.
That is simply false.
Now, the others inside that van currently in detention are speaking out through their attorney.
I believe that the shots did come from the sides of it.
Tonight, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia says the acting ICE director told her Salgado wasn't the target.
ICE was searching for an individual with a final removal order who officers believe had entered the van.
In a new statement, DHS says they observed a white van with an individual who resembled the target. Late today, Border Czar Tom Homan saying this.
If our agents violate policy, they violate the law, and they'll be dealt with.
Priscilla Thompson joins us tonight from Houston. Priscilla, those agents involved weren't wearing body cams at the time?
That's right, Tom. DHS says that none of the officers on scene had body cams. They say that's because of the government shutdown earlier this year that froze funding to the agency. But DHS says now there are more than half of their field offices that do have body cams, and that all field offices will have them within the next 60 days. Tom?
Okay, Priscilla Thompson with those updates tonight. We're back now with a shark attack survivor behind a new law that could save lives. It comes as we've reported a recent surge in shark sightings at a number of popular beaches this summer. Back in June of 2024, 15-year-old Lulu Gribben was swimming when a bull shark suddenly surfaced. Beachgoers rushing in to save her, but the shark took her left hand and part of her right leg. But what Lulu didn't know at the time was that another woman was attacked just 90 minutes before and just 3 miles down the beach. Since then, she's advocated tirelessly on a law which authorizes alerts to your phone when a shark attack happens nearby. Lulu Gribben joins Top Story Live now. Lulu, thanks so much for being here. Your story of perseverance is truly incredible. If you can, take us back to the moment when you realized not only that you had been attacked, but that someone else had been attacked, and this possibly could have been prevented.
It was crazy when I found out that another woman had been attacked before me, just 90 minutes before me, and it was only 3 miles down the coast, because I was really already skeptical of big bodies of water. And so obviously if I would have known that, I would not have been swimming in the water. So it's definitely very surprising to find that out when I was in recovery. But we really wanted to create this common sense legislature, so that led to Lulu's Law, and we are just so grateful that we were able to create this law. And that's really just the backstory.
It is. It's incredible what you've done. It's incredible how you've bounced back and you've done this. Sometimes making laws can be kind of hard, right? They call it cutting through the red tape. What was it like to get this law passed? And did people want to work with you, or did you find sort of any headwinds?
It was a very long process. It was probably about 2 years that we were working on this with the help of Senator Katie Britt, Representative Gary Palmer, and a lot of other state legislatures. But it was really meaningful to me to be able to pass this law, just because it is like having a law in my name. Like, obviously, that's one of the biggest accomplishments I'll ever have and ever will be able to achieve in my life. And so it's really such an honor, and I was very, very excited. And it was a bipartisan law, so all of the legislators came together and they all voted yay, and the vote was 401-6, and that was also incredible. And I was very proud that I was able to bring together the community up in Congress.
You should be proud, because you're probably going to save a lot of lives and help a lot of not only kids, but just people, anyone at the beach. Help us understand how this new law works and how it can protect other people.
So this law works exactly like an Amber Alert system. So basically, when a shark attack has occurred in the water, it will send an alert to your phone and notify you that a shark attack has occurred nearby, and it's geo-fenced to a certain radius. So it will only send an alert if you are in that certain radius. And this goal, the law, it not only helps the beaches be safer, but it also lets the lifeguards, all the paramedics, to be alert of what is going on in their waters much faster than the flag system of what is used today. And so we're not only excited to be able to help the beaches feel safe, but to help all the life-saving measures that it takes to be able to help other people survive.
Just real quick, because some folks may be watching this, they may not be super tech savvy. Do people have to do anything on their phones? Do they have to register for anything? Do they have to download an app or anything like that?
You don't have to register for anything. It will send an alert to your phone if you are in that radius, and it will be a very loud alert even if you're in the water, so other people will be able to hear it. And you don't have to sign up for anything, and it just goes straight to your phone.
I want to show our viewers a moment, because it shows how brave you are. You actually went back to the spot where you were attacked, and you posted video of getting back in the water just a few months after that attack. Talk to me about what was going through your head, and why was this important to you?
It was very nerve-wracking to go back into the ocean just because that is where my life completely changed and where I lost two of my limbs. But getting back in, I got to learn how to surf, and just standing up on the surfboard, getting to feel the wind in my back, I just got to be free. And there was so much freedom of just getting to go back in, getting to feel the water, feel the waves. I was obviously a little bit more skeptical. I was looking around me to make sure there was nothing around me, but just getting up and standing on that surfboard, it's one of the best feelings that I've ever felt.
And let me tell you, that's not easy. That's incredible you were able to do that. You created the Lulu Strong Foundation that helps other amputees. Talk to us about the work you do there.
So I created my foundation to be able to help other amputees this gives grants to other foundations, to other organizations who are researching into different technologies, into different strategies to be able to help the amputee community. So we give grants to organizations, whether that's helping them develop virtual reality headsets to help phantom limb pain, to help create apps to bring together amputees and have a community, really just very different things that will be able to help people that struggle with limb loss. And this was just really important to me because in my recovery, other people came to me and were able to help me. So I want to be able to give back and be able to help others.
Lulu, you are incredible. Thank you for taking the time to talk to our viewers here. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop, because your energy is infectious and you're doing so much good. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up here on the broadcast still, the mysterious killing overseas of former lawmaker and reality TV star found dead inside her home. The search for a motive tonight. Plus the dramatic boat rescue. Deputies pulling people from the water during a daring nighttime mission. Then at Top Stories newsfeed, we start with Graham Plattner officially dropping out of the main Senate race. It has happened. It paves the way for Democrats to pick a new nominee in what could be one of the nation's most competitive Senate races. The announcement came after Plattner's campaign has faced a flurry of scandals. Maine Democrats say they'll hold a convention to choose a new candidate. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stepping in after the pilots of 8 Apache choppers were grounded by the South Carolina National Guard. It's all because of this low flyby during the 4th of July. You can see people on the beach cheering and waving flags as they get pretty close to the ground. But that suspension was only brief after Hegseth intervened to get it lifted, calling the pilots patriots. In a major reversal from Meta, we told you last night about the backlash it's been facing over a new AI feature on Instagram. It allows users to make realistic deep fakes by using other people's photos. One way to do it is by mentioning public accounts, but now Meta reportedly says it's pausing that feature because of the feedback it got from users. That, according to Puck. We reached out to Meta for comment but haven't heard back. And a dramatic nighttime rescue off the coast of Florida. 7 people left stranded when their boat crashed into some rocks. It happened about 30 miles north of West Palm. Body cam shows deputies throwing life rafts into the water, then pulling everybody on board. They say all made it back to shore safely and no one was hurt. Now to Top Stories Global Watch, a check of what else is happening around the world. We start in southern Spain. At least a dozen people were killed when a wildfire ripped through a rural expat community. It's one of the country's deadliest fires on record. We've been covering these wildfires here on Top Story all week. Authorities say 8 others were hurt and more than 20 are missing. The fire broke out yesterday as Spain faces another brutal heat wave. And in the UK, police say they arrested a suspect connected to the killing of a former British lawmaker and reality TV contestant. Her name is Anne Widdecombe. Police say the 78-year-old was found dead in her home yesterday with serious injuries. A British man is now in custody. No word yet on a possible motive, but authorities say there is no sign that it was politically motivated or terror-related. And the high-security homecoming for a priceless medieval piece of art. After almost 1,000 years, the Bayeux Tapestry is back in England. You can see it right here. It's more than 200 feet long and depicts the lead-up to a historic battle. It was loaded up on a truck in France, then escorted by police on a secret nighttime journey to a museum in London. It's set to go on display there in September. All right, now to a groundbreaking moment in the world of medicine. Check this out. This is the world's first surgery performed by humanoid robots. These 2 robots called Surgi, working under the direction of the team at the University of California, San Diego, to remove the gallbladders of 2 pigs. One was done entirely by the robots, directed by people, and the second also involved a human assistant in the OR. I want to bring in the team who worked on the surgeries, Michael Yip, the project lead and robotics professor at UCSD, and Dr. Sean Liu, the surgeon who oversaw both operations. First off, guys, congratulations. This is pretty incredible stuff here, and to watch it on video is stunning. Dr. Liu, I want to start with you. Walk me through what it felt like to perform surgery with a humanoid robot. You know, obviously it's different. And you guys were starting out with a pig, better than a human, I would think. But talk to me about some of the challenges and what you learned.
Well, thanks again, Tom, for having us here, first of all. I think surgeons have been used to using robotic surgery to perform some of the most advanced surgeries in the world. And using the humanoid robot in a telecontrol format was very similar to that. And that was the aha moment, that we can use a much more affordable and humanoid form of robotic and get the same experience of an expensive robotic platform and have the high level of surgical precision that we're used to.
Yeah, and then, Michael, we've seen those kind of robots doing flips and boxing and running. We've done a lot of stories on them here on Top Story. But why bring a humanoid robot into the operating room? Explain this, because we just heard Dr. Liu saying that you guys have already sort of worked with robotic arms. Why now bring in the humanoid?
I mean, that's actually exactly it. You know, we see all of these humanoid robots doing things like backflips and juggling balls and things like that. And the question is, well, what is it good for the society, right? And humanoid robots have a place in the operating room because they are flexible, they're versatile, they can be performing many kinds of surgeries, they could be part of a surgical team. It's just really, like, when you look at it, it's another potential team member of the surgical staff. And I think that's the real potential here.
And then, Dr. Liu, how was training for performing a surgery different from sort of typical training?
The training using the live model method, pig model we use, is the standard training model we use for surgery residents today. So that setup was not difficult. The idea of using the humanoid robot, using the control that we used, was also very analogous to how robotic surgery is done today.
Okay, and then, Mike, are humans next? I mean, what needs to happen, and is this at that point yet, or are we a few years away?
So we're still a few years away from, actually seeing this being used in a human surgery. But I think what's next is really looking at the role of the human-robot teaming. And by that, I mean, an operation is not done by one person. It's done by a whole surgical team. And when you have a team environment, you want the robot to both be responsive to what you're asking it to do, whether that's somebody operating behind a console telling the robot, and instructing the tools what they have to do, or if it's actually an autonomous humanoid robot at the bedside. And I think those are really two big possibilities of the future.
Dr. Liu, people may be asking, why do this? Why would you need humanoid robots? And there's sort of a good idea behind this, which is you have some rural hospitals, you have hospitals in different parts of the world. You can't get surgeons there. They don't have surgeons on call, but you have these robots.
Yeah, I think it's very important to recognize that some of the most advanced surgeries we do is done by these large, complex, and expensive robots. But the operating room for the better part of a century was designed by and designed for humans of a certain size, arm span, dexterity. And the humanoid robots are able to go into an existing workflow meant for humans in the operating room, pick up the same instruments meant for humans, and give the human operator an experience that's very akin to a very expensive surgical precision of robotic surgery. And that's the benefit, using just a small fraction of the investment, both financially and in terms of spatial usage for the operating room. And that's what's going to help to break down some of the barriers and access to bring this high level of surgical technique to everybody.
Dr. Liu, there's going to be viewers saying, here we go again, the robot's taking the job. So are they going to take your job?
Well, it'd be my dream if the robots can do my job, because that means we've advanced to the point where doctors are so plentiful that we can have robots be them. But I think realistically, there are a lot of gaps in healthcare right now where there's not enough personnel, be it surgeons, assistant surgeons, OR staff, and we just need a way to fill that gap. And I think that's one place where we can meaningfully and responsibly use the technology, not as a replacement, but as an augmentation to improve the care we develop now.
Michael, you obviously couldn't ask the pigs how they felt about being operated on by a humanoid robot. When do you think humans will be comfortable with this?
Yeah, I think one of the things to recognize is that when you provide a surgery, that you can show that the outcomes are going to be better, or that they're going to have access to the surgery where in certain scenarios they would never be able to get access. I think that's when you're going to start seeing, many people see the value of this type of technology. And an example of this is like in emergency medicine, in places where it's hard to access care and you need timely care and you need it quick. And I think in those kind of scenarios, we're going to start seeing increasing adoption, and then that's going to break down the barriers for patient acceptance.
All right, Michael and Dr. Louie, thank you so much for coming on Top Story. And again, congratulations. Thanks so much for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.